Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to What to Watch Live, the show where we discuss the best in TV and entertainment this week. My name is David, and today I am joined by my fellow Xfinity editors, Kayla, Liz, and the tender vigilante himself, Scott. Yes, you. How is everyone doing today?
Secret identity, David. Jeez, come on.
Everyone already knew anyway, Scott. How is everyone?
Great.
Amazing.
Great.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tender.
Awesome.
Yes.
Tender. Well, after 2 weeks off, we are back and energized with another star-studded show, including appearances by Marvel's Black Widow, stars Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, as well as Stranger Things actor Sadie Sink, who currently stars in the new Netflix horror movie trilogy Fear Street. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Please stick with us on Twitter and X1 and Flex, wherever you are, for the next half hour to 3 hours. Who knows how long this is going to go. So let's get things started with In the News. On Sunday, a sealed copy of the hit Nintendo video game Super Mario 64 smashed records when it sold at auction for an astonishing $1.56 million. The previous record was set just 2 days prior to that, when a sealed copy of Nintendo's The Legend of Zelda sold for $870,000. Super Mario 64 was one of 2 games released alongside the industry-changing Nintendo 64 console when it debuted in North America on September 26, 1996. The game was the first Mario Brothers title to use 3D technology and went on to be the best-selling N64 game of all time with nearly 12 million units sold. And this record-breaking copy that just sold was in near pristine condition, factory sealed, and rated 9.8 out of 10 by the video game grading company WADA. So, editors, I turn to you and ask, if you had $1.56 million just laying around the house, what is the one video game you would happily spend that money on? And to start, we will turn to one of our resident gamers, Scott.
Oh, that's me. Hi, hello.
That is you.
Wait, David, you mean you don't have 1.56 million just floating around?
I don't. No.
Oh. Sadly,
No.
Not this
same.
week.
No.
No.
Not in this
No,
economy.
slow week.
Slow week.
Exactly. But back to gaming. I feel like so many of my childhood favorites are pretty widely available still. So I don't really want to go down that path, but the game that I most wish was available for as a back compat title, so backwards compatible on some of the newer consoles, would be the little known gem, Dead or Alive Extreme 2. So if I had a couple million kicking around, I think I'd probably throw it at making that happen. Are any of you guys familiar with this title?
No, but it sounds like it's intense.
Oh yeah, it's the most intense. So basically it's the most ridiculous game ever, and it totally appeals to everything that I love about games. It's basically all of the female characters from a fighting game called Dead or Alive. They are tricked into going to an island thinking that there's a fighting tournament there, but instead they are actually just sent there to play volleyball and have fun. So the whole premise of the game is to make friends, buy them presents, spend time on the island, go to the casino, buy bathing suits, run around, go down water slides. They have these stupid games called Butt Battle where you're both on a pool float and you're trying to knock each other off with your butt. It's the most ridiculous game ever, but it's all about costumes and friendship and strong women. And so really, is there a better game to bring back? No, probably.
I'm concerned for these women. I want to be like blink twice if you need help, ladies. You've been kidnapped to this island to play games.
I mean, these girls can hold it. They can hold it down. I mean, they're fighting champions, right? So I feel like they just maybe needed a break. So they're like, well, let me just lean in here. When am I going to get an all expense paid trip to an island?
Wow.
I don't know. Maybe they should charter a yacht.
David, how dare you? Don't you even?
Already.
All right.
Already.
Too soon. Too soon.
It is. Kayla, I don't know. I don't know actually if you're much of a gamer or if you played games growing up. Do you have a game you would spend $1.5 million on?
Well, I'm not a gamer anymore, but I used to be super into games, probably because my brother always had the newest PlayStation or Xbox, and I had my little GameCube, so that was mine. And he had all his stuff. But if I had 1.56, Super Mario is already bought, so I'd have to go with my next favorite, which is Super Mario Kart. That is probably my favorite game of all time. I had it on the Wii. I had it on all my little consoles, my Game Boy, all that stuff. I was always playing Mario Kart, so I'd probably have to go with that.
Who was your main character, Kayla?
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah, I always chose Yoshi, or that was my main actually. Yeah, pretty much Yoshi or the princess, but she was too prissy for me sometimes, so I would just go with Yoshi.
Yeah.
I was a Luigi guy. I picked Luigi.
You're the only one in the world, David. Seriously.
Nobody ever picks him.
It shows what kind of confidence I have in myself that I couldn't be best. I had to be second. I had to be second best. The second best Mario brother.
I love it. I'm not. So admittedly not a gamer, although my pick will date me for sure. Because I remember playing this a whole lot, and I still play it whenever I can. It is still available, right? You can still go to arcades, unless I'm dating myself there and can't actually. But last time I went into an arcade, I remember still being able to play it. I'm gonna go with Pac-Man, right? If I had to buy something that is nostalgic to me, takes me back to my childhood, I'm going either Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man because that's just throwing me back, and I love it. And I would still play it today if I could. Well, if I had the time, I'd play.
That's a good one. I'd have one of those arcade games in my basement if I had the money to buy it.
Funny.
The Pac-Man
game. David has some arcade games in his house. Jealous.
I do.
We're all coming over.
That's where we're going to be after the show.
Yeah.
Before I get to that, Kayla, Mario Brothers or Mario Kart 64 is actually the second most purchased N64 game of all time behind Super Mario 64. So, I mean, that was kind of a game changer too. And I think I've bought like 2 or 3 consoles specifically just to be able to play Mario Kart and Zelda and like nothing else basically.
Yeah. And Super Mario is my ringtone too. So I'm a fan of that for sure.
It's amazing.
It's my ringtone for like 3 years.
Love it.
Well, the one game I would spend $1.5 million on is the one game I don't have to buy because I already have it. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. My absolute favorite game. I still have the instruction booklet that goes with it. And as Scott said, so cool. I also have this arcade game in my basement. I have a lot of like really fond memories of those large 4-player behemoths. And I loved that game. And I loved The Simpsons, which was the same, and X-Men, which was also a 4-player.
Yes.
That was a good one.
The best.
Very nice.
All 3 of those. So fun. Like I have vivid memories of being on the boardwalk playing those with like my brothers. And it's just the best.
If you walked into an arcade and saw any one of those 3 games, it was just like, I just lost my mind. And I remember when they came out with yes, well, Tekken was just it was another era with the guy with the leopard head. That was awesome. But I remember going to KB Toys, if you remember that, and they had this wall of games behind the register, and I literally cried to my grandfather to convince him to buy this for me. It was like, and that sounds like so spoiled and such a like rotten kid. And my mom was absolutely disgusted with me, but I felt like I could not go on living if I didn't own this game and could not play it. And I cried, and he finally bought it for me. And I actually also have Ninja Turtles 1, one of the hardest games on Nintendo, and Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project.
Love.
Wow.
I just love that you turned this into show and tell for us too.
Yeah,
like
seriously.
I know.
Come on, David.
Liz, do you want me to show off all my games?
I love it.
What do we have?
Oh my gosh.
some Ghostbusters. I mean, I have some good ones in here.
I wish Gordon
Yeah,
was
I
here.
But I love that you still play them too, right? Because this person who just threw down $1.5 million, I'm sure is never even going to touch it. They're never going to take it out of that thing. No, I would want to play it. And I love that you begged for it, you got it, and you actually play it. I love it. Good for you.
There's the OG Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt right there.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, you're right. Like, it's factory sealed. So even like a pinprick on that factory seal, and suddenly your $1 million investment becomes a nice coaster.
Right.
Well, David, you can probably make at least a solid $500,000 off of what you got.
Can I? Because if I can, I'll see you guys later.
Kayla will be hosting next week's show.
Yeah. Well, in case you're curious, and speaking of this original Super Mario Brothers, the previous record before these two games was the original Super Mario Brothers, which sold for 666,000 this past April. So it is a good time to sell those vintage games if you've got them in good condition.
Love it.
And that's it. And if you don't, and you want to check out more gaming news, or play free games at home, you just say gaming into your voice remote. And while you do that, we'll move on to our next segment called Editor Extras. So it has been 2 years since Marvel Studios ended Phase 3 of its Marvel Cinematic Universe with Spider-Man Far From Home. But over the weekend, fans eagerly flocked to both Disney Plus and theaters for the highly anticipated kickoff of Phase 4, entitled Black Widow. Scott, tell us more about it.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 2 years since the last Marvel movie. That's just bonkers.
Too long.
But yeah, like you said, like, people absolutely came out in droves for this one. The film raked in a very hefty 80 million theatrical in the North America alone, 78 million in international theaters, and an additional 60 million from Disney Plus, which is just fantastic. And those numbers right there are exactly why we need more female superheroes, right? Like, ScarJo single-handedly lifting the movie industry out of the pandemic. Like, yes, this is what we love to see. But I was fortunate enough to have a little coffee clatch with Black Widow stars Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh the other day, and I am super excited to share this little peek of that interview with you guys right now. So check it out. So Florence, for you, we see superheroes sort of saving the world all the time, but we never really see them in their day-to-day. So I'm curious, what sort of daily tasks do you think like Black Widow's powers or skills would make easier?
I think both of their skill sets would really help them chopping in the kitchen. Chopping would be so easy, and peeling things would be so easy. And I just think that they'd just be like on MasterChef, basically. Maybe
parallel parking, maybe parallel parking.
Yeah, or unicycling. They'd be good at that.
That's an everyday skill for you, unicycling?
No, I'm saying they could make it an everyday skill. Like, they would just go to work on their unicycle because they.
That's totally inefficient. Why would they do that? There definitely would be. They're way better at drag racing and like getting in they could a motorcycle, a car.
That's what they want you to think. And actually, maybe they just want to be on a unicycle. Ever thought about that, Scarlett? No.
I mean,
I have not.
You guys have like a Disney Plus series pilot right there. Perfect.
Natasha just wanted to ride a bloomin' unicycle.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. I know we didn't have a whole lot of time to chat today, but I really appreciate you taking the time. So thank you. Oh, any unicyclists here? No?
No.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I thought there'd be at least one of you guys that like.
Yeah, I mean that is a good life skill.
Did they teach you that in clown college?
Wow, David, you're gonna really just like pull out all my dirty laundry right now. Yes, I was a professional clown as a child. Don't judge me, okay? We're not getting into it. It's too much. It's too much. All right. Anyways, I have questions for you guys now. I'm going to put you on the spot, David. Who is your favorite superhero, and what mundane tasks do you think that their super skills would make easier?
Well, my favorite superhero is Batman, and he has no super skills. but I imagine that like doing laundry is pretty easy for him because he only wears black. Hey, you might be Batman. He only wears black, the same
I'm
outfit.
the tender vigilante, David, as you called out earlier today. So
I just feel like, well, and also like Alfred does that for him. So yeah, okay, I'm backing it up. Batman's special skills are that he's rich, which does make it easy because he doesn't have to do chores at all. Done.
Good point. Kayla, who's your favorite superhero, and what tasks do you think their super skills or lack thereof, I guess, would be easier with?
I think, okay, so I guess that's a two-part question. So Black Panther, my daughter has some input. I'd say Black Panther is my favorite, right? But as far as skill, I'd go with his sister Shuri because she was like a tech boss. And I just feel like knowing all of those futuristic things and knowing how to hack systems and things like that could really come in handy because, you know, I'm a criminal on the side, so I hack into a lot of computers.
You heard it here first, guys.
There's my dirty laundry.
Obviously.
So Scott, you're not alone.
Obviously a slow week because you don't have 1.5 million to throw down on anything.
I got to get into some more systems so I can get that money rolling.
Exactly. That's awesome.
We got to throw it to Liz now, right? So same question.
I love the Hulk. My
Hulk.
absolute favorite is the Hulk. And
like smashing things.
what super skill? I just think that everyone would be super nice to you. No one would try to like make you angry, right? Like everyone would be tiptoeing and not making me angry at all, and just trying to make me happy all day. So I can dig that for sure. And speaking of Hulk, did you guys know that there's going to be a She-Hulk? And I'm here for it. I'm so excited for it.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't either until one of my kids told me. So that's why I keep them around. But excited for the She-Hulk.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
that's all I got.
I will add just to the Black Widow conversation that the movie is really, really good. And Florence Pugh, as you can see from that clip, is like the most lovely person, and she steals the entire show. I will recommend, if you haven't watched the Disney Plus series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or any of the WandaVision or Loki, like highly recommend because they're definitely it's not separate universes. I mean, Disney Plus has said this before. These things take place in the same universe, and there will be crossover. So there's some stuff in Black Widow, no spoilers, maybe a scene here or there that would benefit you to know what's happening in some of those D+ series.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Highly recommend. Go check it out. And you can check out Scott's full interview with Scarlett and Florence by checking out What to Watch Live playlist on Xfinity's YouTube channel. And we are going to move on now to a segment we call Hidden Gems. From superheroes to super fans, look, we all have those certain TV shows that we're absolutely obsessed with, and whoever said you can never have too much of a good thing was right, actually. That's true. So in this segment, we're going to take a look at some of the superfan collections, curations, and Easter eggs available right now on Xfinity platforms for you to explore. And I'm actually going to kick things off with one of my favorite shows, Rick and Morty. And sure, you could just simply type Rick and Morty into your remote keypad like that. T9 search is what they call it. But what's the fun in that? So I worked with Adult Swim to handpick 4 Easter egg audio surprises when you use your voice and your voice remote to search for Rick and Morty. So go ahead and try it. Say Rick and Morty, or Pickle Rick, or Show Me What You Got, or Help Me With My Golf Swing into your remote and see what happens. Make sure your TV audio is turned up and enjoy your own small taste of interdimensional cable. And while you're there, you can actually also watch my Xfinity Hangouts interview with Rick and Morty stars Spencer Grammer, Sarah Chalk, and Chris Parnell. It's just a real treat for the senses, and for anyone who's really into Rick and Morty, like I am, and like I know Scott is as well. And speaking of Scott, what is your super fan pick for the week? Oh, there it
Rick
is.
And Morty, David? I don't know what you're talking
Pickle Rick Seltzer. Send us free Pickle Rick Seltzer, please.
Please,
Pickle Rick Seltzer
honestly.
Company.
Costs a fortune in the shipping alone. Jeez.
1.56 million?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by my choice here. I feel like I'm always prattling on about American Dad, but it's an amazing show, so deal with it. This particular collection is a labor of love, so I'm super excited to share it with you guys. It's my top 25 Roger personas, and trust, there are some great ones in there. Think Krispy Kreme McDonald's, Jojo Quinoa, The Tender Vigilante, Clip Clop, Jenny from the Block, The Phantom of the Telephone, and of course, Ricky Spanish. This was like probably the most fun I've ever had pulling together a collection. I was able to revisit some of my favorite moments from the series, and honestly, it's just a really fun way to approach a series that has something like 350 plus episodes now. So you just click on your favorite persona and it'll take you directly to that episode, which is amazing because like whenever I'm trying to introduce someone to the series like that has never seen it, like I always reference some of the Roger characters, and this would just make my life a lot easier. So really it's just about making my life easier when I'm showing people this series. So hopefully it makes your life easier too. You can check it out on the American Dad Entity page. The new season is airing now on American Dad, on TBS on Tuesdays, and all back seasons can be found on Hulu. So what are you waiting for? Dive all in. Any favorite Roger personas out there, David?
Well, I love the name Jojo Quinoa, but I'm also partial to Laura Vanderbuben. They're all so much fun to say.
They really are, honestly. Like Dr. Yaya, creator of Ecstasy. Like, who comes up with this stuff? It's phenomenal. And like highly
I've never seen it, so I need to check out this destination. I've heard so many great things about it. So.
Oh, absolutely. He's not on the list, but you should also check out the episode with Crisscross Applesauce. He's a aging basketball player whose signature move is the crisscross applesauce, and it's just phenomenal. Highly recommend.
I've only ever seen like my life. I've only like seen one, maybe two episodes the whole way through, but also find myself constantly quoting American Dad, just repeating the things that Scott says all the time. So like I'm always part of these inside jokes, but have no idea what they're referencing.
It's okay. I'm sure you're doing it justice.
I hope. Kayla, tell us a little bit about your super fan favorite.
Gladly. My super fan favorite is Real Housewives. Guys, I'm sorry I said it. David said that you can't have too much of a good thing. And this is it for me, okay? I watched 3 of these. So there's Real Houses of Potomac, which just premiered last night or Sunday night. Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I've just started digging into Beverly Hills, so we're getting into that. So I'm really excited. I just love housewife drama. I'm sorry, like I just said it, okay? I love housewife drama. I love the tea. The fights, not so much, but I mean, I watch them, so I mean, it is what it is, right? I just grab my popcorn and it's my guilty pleasure. So there you have it. Real Housewives, guys. Shout out to Audrey who created this destination. Thank you so much, Audrey, for filling that need of mine.
I love it that you mentioned Beverly Hills because, I mean, Kathy Hilton is the best thing that's happened to television. Who is Hunky Dory? Who's Hunky Dory? Like, mind blown. So,
Liz, please tell us about your super fan favorite.
Oh, I'd be happy to. So I want to first say a huge shout out to Marcella for putting this together. We have a destination, collections that are based on romance. And so that's what these telenovelas are mostly known for is, right, all the drama. So if you love the drama of the Housewives, definitely make sure that you go out and check out one of these telenovelas. And for those of you who think that they're all in Spanish, we've got you covered too, because we have a huge selection of telenovelas that are English based as well. And right now, one of my favorites, one of my guilty pleasures is Queen of the South. And so this started back in 2016. It just wrapped up the beginning of June, I believe. You can watch, there's 5 seasons. You can watch the first 4 on Netflix, and USA has the 5th season. And so super exciting, brings all the drama and anything and everything that you wish to see in a telenovela is in this Queen of the South. So make sure you check it out. Make sure you check out this destination. I promise you're going to find something you're going to want to see. So what telenovelas have you seen?
Well, I was actually going to ask you, Liz, because I think we've discussed this previously, that I took like 7 years of Spanish and don't speak a single word of it. Just so terrible. So if I was going to start, and I've never seen a telenovela, if I was going to start somewhere with one that even has like English subtitles or maybe English language, where should I go?
Yeah, definitely go to the telenovela destination. And in there, you're going to find, based on, so if you want to see just English, you'll go ahead and look within that collection. But I'm going to tell you that you probably have seen a telenovela without even realizing it. We're talking about Ugly Betty, right? So the original is Yo Soy la Betty Fea, which originally came out back in 1999. America Ferrera remade the Ugly Betty, so that one is super fun. I think what's really great about telenovelas as well is that there's like 379 episodes, so you'll never get tired. And I joke, but I'm not completely.
You're not lying.
Yeah.
No. Depending on the telenovela, you're watching it for years.
My only knowledge of telenovelas are like some of these ridiculous, outlandish clips that I've seen online, way over the top. Gasps in Spanish. That's what it says. It's the subtitle. It's ridiculous. But do you know the one I'm talking about, where there's I think it's from that GIF where the mom walks in, and then there's the boyfriend in the wheelchair, and then she picks him up and throws him off the wheelchair, and then somebody dies, and the grandma comes in and there's a screaming, and I'm just how does all of this happen in one episode, and why is everybody so dramatic?
Yeah, I've not seen that, but that sounds right. And you can insert that into almost any telenovela, and it would work. I think they're really so great. They do. They bring the drama. And I think that is what's so appealing about them. So, David, to answer your question, if you've already seen Ugly Betty, you can also watch more of a classic, which is Café con Aroma de Mujer. I mean, even the name, right? If you think about it, it translates into, I think, what did they translate it into? The scent of passion, which is not necessarily true. It's coffee with the scent of a woman. So that is just dramatic in itself. But they're so great, and you've got tons of episodes to watch. So yes, make sure you check it out. Watch any of these. A couple are so great that they get remade. So after about 10 years, they'll put in some new characters. So Café con Aroma de Mujer right now is starring William Levy, which is mwah. So definitely check out the telenovela collection for sure.
The creator of that show must have stolen my Starbucks order. Jeez, happens to me every time.
Oh, that's great. That's a good one.
I mean, you've sold me. I have a whole new genre of TV to dive into now. All right, well, let's move on to our next segment. Am I seeing double? No, it's just another dose of editor extras. On Friday, Netflix releases... Let's start that over again. On Friday, Netflix releases the third and final part of its Fear Street film trilogy, which is based on the popular 90s book series by Goosebumps author R.L. Stine. In anticipation of this final installment, I sat down for a conversation with Fear Street star Sadie Sink, 4 S's. You may know Sadie best as Max Mayfield in the Netflix series Stranger Things, in which she famously accompanies Eleven on an 80s-style shopping montage. But in Fear Street, Sadie trades in Demogorgons for a witch's curse in her biggest role to date. Let's check out Fear Street.
Foreseen us.
Run! One way or another, you're gonna die tonight.
There it is. It's not just a diary, it's a map.
I'm not letting you die.
My sister's still out there!
Go, guys, go! We can end this.
You swore. It's becoming a habit.
So this was a really physical role for you, between the running and the fighting and just being covered in blood and sweat. What was the toughest part of filming a horror movie for you?
I mean, yeah, like kind of building up that stamina that was like so necessary for the role. That was not challenging, but just definitely something that was important throughout the process. There were a few challenging like stunt work scenes that we had to work through for several days. One being we're in like the science and nature cabin. It's like I think one of the early interactions with the killer of that movie, and you know that took a lot of like working out. But yeah, I definitely towards the end of it, I felt really confident with doing stunt work.
I bet, and probably screaming too. I mean, I would imagine your like throat must have been sore by the end of the day.
Oh yeah, they had these things on set. They would call them like screamy teas, just to like help everyone's throat because there's just so much screaming that took place on that set.
Yeah. So you've spent some time living in the 80s on Stranger Things, and you've spent some time living in the 70s and the 1660s in the Fear Street movies. Which era do you think you as Sadie are best suited for?
I mean, I honestly, I'd have to go with the 70s, just because I feel like everything was just so happy and simple. But then also, I remember like my time on the 1600 set and how cool that was. But I don't know if I could last more than like a week there.
Right. So horror movies often play into more rational fears like snakes and spiders and claustrophobia, but really great horror movies play into irrational fears like an axe-wielding madman brought back to life by a witch's curse. Do you have any wild, irrational fears?
I mean, I have a few that are just like really silly and stupid that I've just had. Like, I don't know where it comes from, but I really am scared of kind of, I don't like puppets. I don't like dolphins. Those are just a few random ones.
Dolphins?
Yeah. I love animals. No, nothing against them. I love them, but just I wouldn't be caught near one.
Well, that's a great way to end. Dolphin fears. No dolphins in Fear Street, but I really, really loved the movie and can't wait for people to see it. Thanks, Sadie. So I don't think I've ever heard of anyone whose irrational fear is dolphins, who are like notably the gentlest creatures of the sea. But, you know, we all have some of those weird irrational fears. How about you guys? Anyone have a weird one you want to confess?
I can go.
Yeah, go.
I
Please.
have a weird. Okay, and it's really strange, but ever since I was little, I hated to be the last one to fall asleep if I was ever like in a house with people. So when I was younger, I would go to bed early while my parents were still downstairs watching TV, so I could hear the TV, I could hear them talking, and I'd be good. I could fall asleep. Even to this day, like me and my husband, if he's going to bed and he goes before me, I'm like, why didn't you tell me you were going to sleep? Because I hate falling asleep last for some reason. I don't know why. It's just, I feel like if something happens, I'm responsible or something. Like if someone breaks in, I have to be the one to fight the guy off. If I witnessed something that's crazy, I'm the only one who saw it, and you think I'm crazy when you woke up like that didn't happen. I'm like, yes, it did. So I need to fall asleep first. When I was at sleepovers, if I fell asleep after my friends, I'd freak out because I'd be in a dark room. I'd be awake by myself. I don't like it. I don't like that feeling, guys.
Kayla, I had the same fear when I was a kid. For the same exact reason, because there was something comfortable about knowing your parents were still up watching TV, so nothing bad could happen because they'd take care of it. But once they don't go to bed and you're still awake, it's like you're the one who's going to have to defend the house, like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, because your parents have gone to bed. I had the same exact fear. Like, I had to get to sleep before everyone else.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad my kids don't have this, right? Because I feel like my kids now stay up a whole lot later than I do. So I'd be in a whole lot of trouble if that was their fear, because I couldn't hang. It's like 9:30 and I'm going to bed.
That's hilarious. If I'm alone, I'm good.
They tuck me into bed now.
That is hilarious. Oh my God.
I've never had that problem. I'm like borderline narcoleptic, so I can fall asleep pretty much anywhere and have. Like, I've fallen asleep at football games, baseball games. Like when I was younger, I actually fell asleep like on the toilet, which my mom made fun of me for forever. Like I've almost fallen asleep at bars. Like I've fallen asleep at people's houses. Like, it's a whole thing. But,
So don't go to Scott's house if you have this fear of mine.
Yeah, I just need to be like engaged. Like, as long as like something, I'm talking to someone or whatever, it's fine. But like the second I'm just like left on my own, I'm like, so, just shut down.
Does anyone else have an irrational fear?
It's very similar. Mine is similar to Kayla's, except I'm not afraid to be alone because I really do enjoy being alone. My fear is for my children to take a shower when they're home alone. If that makes no sense, right? But I have teenage girls, and I know they do things like flip their hair when it's wet, and I've got stuff all over the place. I'm always scared somebody's going to slip in the shower, and I'm not here, right? So I ask them, please don't take a shower if I'm not home. Like, wait till I get home. Wait till your dad's home. Wait till your sister's home. Like, wait for someone to be home just in case. And it drives them crazy. I know. And yes, it makes me a little crazy. I'm not afraid to shower alone, but I'm afraid for them to shower alone.
So Liz, when I was growing up, my mom used to tell us to not take showers during thunderstorms. And we were never allowed if there was. And I thought growing up, I thought this was a widely known thing. It wasn't until adulthood that I realized, A, it's not true. Your house is not going to get hit by lightning and you're going to die in the shower. But B, not everyone's parents told them that. It was just my overprotective mom and a couple of other overprotective moms, which no shade or anything, but like it's one of those like old wives' tales.
Thank you. It is, because I also heard the no showering during the thunderstorm. Don't use the phone. Remember that? When we had hard lines, like you couldn't use the phone when there was a thunderstorm. So yeah, I'm with you.
I feel like lightning was much more of a threat when we were younger. It's not so much of an issue now. I don't know. Maybe science has gotten better, but
yeah, lightning has really chilled out in the last couple decades.
Yeah, seriously.
Scott, do you have a real quick an irrational fear?
Yeah, totally. So I didn't realize that this was an irrational fear of mine until I watched Girls 5 Eva and listened to Sarah Bareilles' song. But like, I am deathly afraid of going on Ancestry.com and finding out that I have a bunch of half siblings who want to be in my life. Just to like that. No.
Just
stay away from it. No 23andMe, no Ancestry, nothing.
Well, you are like live on Twitter right now, so one of your half siblings could be watching you.
Yes. Reach out.
You didn't
Reach
see
out to
anything. My real name isn't Scott. This is all fake.
That's not even your house in the background.
Exactly. This is all just green screen. Like,
nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. Well, if you can watch my full interview with Sadie Sink by visiting the What to Watch Live playlist on Xfinity's YouTube channel. And the thing that I really love about this Fear Street trilogy is that while the three films collectively tell a single story, they are each set in a different time period and pay homage to a distinct horror movie era. So we got to thinking, what is the best horror movie era of all time? And you can actually use your voice remote now to vote while we dive into some of our favorites, including the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1980s, and the 2000s. So I will kick things off. There is nothing I love more than a bad horror movie, and there was no better time for sci-fi and horror B movies than the 1950s. I mean, you want to talk about giant leeches, man-eating blobs, 50-foot women, incredible shrinking men, or creatures from the Black Lagoon. The 1950s had it all. If you could shrink it or make it colossal, Hollywood did it and played it in every drive-in theater from New York to LA. And the 1950s also marked the arrival of movie theater gimmicks like 3D and the Tingler and Smell-O-Vision, and the very first in-color 3D film from a major American studio was Vincent Price's 1952 classic, House of Wax. Of course, Vincent Price is one of the legends of horror, particularly during this era, in which he starred in more 3D films than any other actor. And House of Wax is one of his best and most deliciously campy performances. So that is why I love 1950s horror. Scott, yes, what do you got for me?
I'm so excited to talk about this because I have a lot to say. I mean, this is very much my genre. Can we go back, please, to David's title? I specifically love that we're talking about it from like a decade lens, just because like horror themes like have always organically changed with the times and like often reflect cultural fears and like societal unease of that time period. So I personally find that super interesting, and I hope that you guys do too. And I think a great example of this is like the predominant 50s theme, as you mentioned, were like big monsters causing epic destruction, which is like not dissimilar to, you know, a bomb. But there's also like this paranoia that communists were infiltrating society. So it's no coincidence that movies like Body Snatchers and even House of Wax sort of leaned into this idea where you couldn't tell your friend from your enemy. So I love that you chose this one. And while we're still on your topic, a little fun fact about House of Wax is that, you know, the scene, spoiler alert, where the museum burns down. It was probably very easy for Price to look frightened when he was filming that, because right before they shot, the crew lit like 3 spot fires in strategic locations. Anyways, they started filming, and obvi, fire, super unpredictable, totally got out of control. It actually burnt a hole in the roof of the soundstage and singed Price's eyebrows off. But because like melting wax mannequins is super expensive, they just kept rolling even until like the fire trucks got there and were putting it out, which is just beyond. But they got the shot, so there you go. But yeah, moving on to my decade, which is obviously the best one, 60s and the 70s for the most part, was like probably the most violent and radical decades in America. We had a ton of assassinations of public figures. Racism was reaching this boiling point, and America, she was changing, girl. You know, it's a thing. It was happening. There was this like counterculture that, you know, we're moving away from the sort of traditional American family. But yeah, so unsurprising that this like very, very dark time in American history brought out some really amazing horror films. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which gave us a little tour through like, you know, rundown America. Rosemary's Baby, and then you got The Exorcist, like waging war on religion, which is okay, that's a thing. And then Halloween, where we go into the suburbs, where we got this guy with a mask just like slashing up babysitters, just like super chill, right? But one film from the 60s, I think, really takes the cake, and that is George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, which on the surface, yeah, looks like a zombie film, but personally, and I think a lot of other people agree with this, that it's really a meditation on racism and the sort of demonization of people of color. The film's protagonist, Ben, is a Black man who, mind you, was not really ever seen on the screen like at this time. let alone one who sort of stepped up as a leader, like in a house full of white people. But the real monsters in this film aren't really the zombies. So major spoiler alert here. Cut to the end of the movie. Ben survived this onslaught. And as a viewer, you're sort of like, oh, yay, it's done. It's over. He's going to make it. And he hears these sirens and notices this squad of men who are like hunting down zombies. He's got to make it out. No problem, whatever. And then it happens. And it's like still triggering to this day. He's just like shot right between the eyes by one of the men. And that's it. It's like one of the men then makes this snide comment about like another one for the fire. And like to this day, it is still super, super jarring. They like sink hooks in him and then drag him out into the fire. It's absolutely terrifying. And personally, and frankly, I think it's like a little too close to today's current events. So feels a little strange and hard to watch, but definitely a classic horror film and highly recommend watching if you haven't already. So sorry for the long rant, but that's my pick. You're muted, David, I think.
You're on mute.
Come on, David.
No,
Amateur
it had to
hour
happen
here.
one of these shows. My dog is losing his mind downstairs, and someone's ringing the doorbell. You know how this goes in this time
you got to keep treats in your pocket, David. That's what I'm saying.
He's locked out. So, Scott, where do you stand on the argument of, in terms of zombies, between running zombies and slow walking zombies?
In terms of which ones I find scarier?
Which one's better? Because I know that some of the newer movies have really fast jogging zombies, whereas Romero stuck closer to the slow zombie that we know and love, I guess.
That we all know and love. I mean, I would probably say that a running zombie is a little bit scarier, but I think the whole zombies aren't really scary because of the zombies. It's really like it's the people that you get stuck with and how they respond in this kind of like end of the world situation. That's the scariest part of like a zombie movie, in my opinion. And I feel like that's generally when you're watching a zombie movie, like, or good ones anyways, that's what they focus in on. It's about the dynamic of the characters kind of interacting and not so much the zombies. Because like, they're dead.
The closest I got
Not sure why I
was
would.
I Am Legend.
What's that?
I said the closest I've got to a zombie movie was I Am Legend. That's as close as I got, guys.
Considered a zombie movie, right? So
it is.
I'm not fighting a zombie. I'm not fighting a zombie, and I'm not outrunning a zombie. If there are zombies, I mean, it is time for me to die too, right? I'm not living.
Right, David, take her off of our safe house list. She's no longer allowed.
Right.
Not fighting any zombies.
We have an extra bed in the safe house now.
I'll take it.
Liz, you got it. Liz, what is your horror movie era of choice?
Oh, it's probably the only era, maybe sprinkled in recent, but it's the only time I remember watching scary movies because I do not like them very much, and I get a little too scared. I think this was the only time that I could handle it. And I'll tell you, my very first memory of going to a movie theater was to see A Nightmare on Elm Street. And yes, I'm dating myself. I was 7 years old, and I was probably driving in a car without a seatbelt while my mom was smoking her Newports. But that's a whole other show. Love Wes Craven, right? Love the 80s. This genre for me gave us, right, The Shining. We have Cujo. What else? I mean, speaking of dogs, Hellraiser, Friday the 13th. I mean, I feel like this was the time where it was the most scary for me. And Nightmare on Elm Street did it for me. I mean, even till this day, that song, I can hear it and still it triggers the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. I mean,
No.
He's melting. He's melting. I mean, I talk about being afraid to go to sleep, Kayla. I mean, you don't want to fall asleep. Yeah. And it was, I love this. I love this movie. I could still watch all of these movies. And not so much anymore. Once they started to get into that psychological stuff, and I just can't do it anymore. So slash them up, I'm good. I can watch that.
Yes, hack and slash. Come on.
Yeah. And finally, Kayla, I mean, you famously are not a horror movie fan. We talk about it every show you're on. So what did you pick as your horror era?
Sorry, see, you're talking about horror. My daughter's crying.
Oh, no.
Triggered.
Well, I
It was
I
the song.
do know
It was the song.
it was.
Yeah,
and I do know that.
I should have done that. I should have done that.
Liz. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry.
See that? See that? Well, if you guys want to listen to me talk over this crying, I could try, but
You know what? I actually know what your pick is, Kayla. So you you take a beat, and we'll talk about Scary Movie, which was sort of like Anna Faris's debut in films and to the world. And boy, what a career she's had. But that was the Wayans brothers, I believe, wrote and maybe directed and produced that. A lot of really great gags, which kicked off like a whole line of like parody movies that we hadn't seen since like, you know, Airplane and Naked Gun is what I'm looking for. So then we got Scary Movie and Not Another Teen Movie and a couple other really great ones. So essentially,
Regina Hall is actually iconic in this film, like just so good. And I know I interviewed her a while back, and I was a little worried because I had done some research on it, and I read that she didn't like talking about her character that much. So, but then I asked her why she thinks gay people like gravitate towards her, or like that she resonates with them, and she's like, "Oh well, I think it all started with this character." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're probably right, actually." Like, there's that whole moment where she's got like the football helmet on, and she's like, it's so good. Like, she's just blissfully unaware, and then the movie theater scene, like watching Shakespeare in Love, like, oh my God, come on, like, so good.
It's very, very
it's so good. If I'm going to watch a scary movie, it needs to be funny. Okay.
That's it. You did it. You did the thing, Kayla. That was your line right there. If I'm going to watch it, it's got to be funny. Nailed it. Let's pull the poll back up real quick and actually give people a little more chance to vote right now. I know that last I checked, the 1980s was the era that was leading as best for horror. That's great. I mean, that's a popular era. All the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. We got some even Gremlins. I guess is sort of a horror movie. That era. The Thing was maybe 79.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit closer. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah. I mean, it sort of introduced so many of the iconic like killers that, you know, people know and love. So
yeah, 1950s is now in the lead, and I'm very happy about that. I'm obsessed. Well, first of all, I'm obsessed with like drive-ins, but these ideas of the gimmicks that they used to use in the 1950s to sell horror movies. Like there was a director and producer named William Castle, who was sort of the biggest culprit when it came to these gimmicks. He had a movie called Macabre, and when it opened, he had fake nurses standing at the door to hand out life insurance policies that he had said he had paid for in case someone died of fright during the movie. And then for House on Haunted Hill, which was another Vincent Price movie, he had skeletons with glowing red eyes hanging from the theater roof or ceiling, and they would swing down at certain moments during the movie. And of course, the Tingler was another thing where they actually had little electronic buzzers rigged up to every seat in the theater, and it would vibrate when the Tingler came on the screen. And it's like, man, if I could go back and only watch movies in theaters from a certain era, like hook me up with all that crap, because that is fun theater experiences. I don't need recliners. Give me a buzzer wired to the bottom of my seat.
Just scare the crap out of me. That's it. I love it.
Yeah,
exactly.
So if you are looking to plan your own horror movie marathon, including Fear Street, just say horror movies into your voice remote. And before we say goodbye for the week, we're going to help you plan ahead. We've got another massive week of TV premieres, and Liz is here to tell us about it. Take it away, Liz.
It looks like we're in for a treat this week in terms of premieres. Kicking it off for us is tonight on TBS, Miracle Workers, Oregon Trail. This is the third season of Miracle Workers, and it stars Steve Buscemi and Daniel Radcliffe. And together, they're actually really funny and play well off of each other. They embark on a journey to the west on the Oregon Trail and come in contact with some pretty shady peeps along the way. So if you're looking for something fun, then we got you covered with Miracle Workers, Oregon Trail, again tonight on TBS. For all of my horror fans, we have you covered. On July 15th, there's an FX on Hulu exclusive American Horror Stories. This is Hulu's spinoff series and features a different horror story every week. So we'll have hour-long weekly episodes. I'm pretty sure Kayla will not be watching this series. Honestly, it might be a little too scary for me too. But again, if you're into that, American Horror Stories on Hulu, July 15th. Also in that same vein is Dr. Death, a Peacock original series that premieres on July 15th. Scarier to me than any slash 'em up movie are these movies that are based on a true story, and I don't think that this one will disappoint. This follows the true story of a doctor, a neurosurgeon, whose patients actually came out of the operating room worse or even dead. It stars some of my faves like Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin, and looks like it'll actually be pretty darn interesting. Again, on Peacock, July 15th. On July 16th on Amazon Prime, we have Making the Cut. This is a fun fashion designing competition with a grand prize of $1 million for the designer to invest in their brand. Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn are the hosts, and this year they'll have 10 mentees who are up-and-coming fashion designers from all around the world. And the really fun part is that every week they'll have winners, and that weekly winner's design will be available for purchase on Amazon. And again, the $1 million cash prize is pretty darn neat. So again, that's on Amazon Prime, July 16th. Space Jam, A New Legacy. Totally excited for this one. It's on HBO Max, July 16th, just taking me back to the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan. It's going to be fun. It's going to have all of our favorite WB cartoons, great voices like Don Cheadle, Zendaya, Michael B. Jordan. Also stars LeBron James, who's playing himself. And like the original Space Jam, there's high stakes on this one basketball game. It looks to be really cool, has some really great music. I think if you're a Space Jam lover, or even if you weren't, make sure you check it out. I think it'll be really cool for the family. For all of my Power fans, Stars on July 18th is premiering Power Book 3. And this is the prequel following Kanan and the very beginnings of his story and how it all started in the Queens in the 90s. Also has some really great music. It's powerful, no pun intended, but also just really great acting, and really excited to see the story of Kanan before Power. So make sure you check that out on Stars, July 18th.
Thanks, Liz. Miracle Workers is actually one of my favorite series. It's an anthology series, same cast, different story. And season 2 was even better than season 1. So I have high hopes for season 3. I think they've really found their footing. And who doesn't love a good Oregon Trail story?
Right.
Hopefully
I'm looking
nobody
forward to
dies
Dr.
of
Death.
dysentery.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
There will certainly be dysentery.
Absolutely.
So all good things must also come to an end. So now we turn to Kayla for this week's must-see finales. Kayla?
If you're not caught up on Marvel Studios' newest original series, Loki, don't worry, you still have a little bit of time. The story takes place right after the chaos that was Avengers Endgame. An alternate version of Loki is brought to a mysterious organization that controls the timeline, and now he has to help fix what he broke after he stole the Tesseract, or else to be erased from existence. High-stakes stuff. Good luck, my friend. Loki finale July 14th on Disney+. Lifetime's chilling 6-part docuseries is coming to a close this week, and more scandalous secrets are coming to the light. Each episode reveals new insights and information as former friends, guards, cellmates, and lovers give first-hand accounts of their time with the famed felons and defendants. True crime at its finest. Cellmate Secrets finales July 16th on Lifetime. If you're a fan of all things girl power, HBO's Betty is right up your alley. Follow this tight-knit girl group of skaters through the concrete jungle of New York City as they navigate their lives in the male-dominated world of skateboarding. They may have 99 problems, but a skater boy ain't one. Betty finales July 16th on HBO. Travel virtually alongside Chef Gordon Ramsay as he journeys to some of the most incredible and remote locations on Earth in search of culinary inspiration, epic adventures, and cultural experiences. So far this season, he's been to Portugal, Puerto Rico, Croatia, and so many other amazing places. Watch to see where he's traveling to next. Gordon Ramsay Uncharted finales July 18th on National Geographic. There's only one more episode left in this season of All-American and still so many questions left unanswered. Between social justice protest, high school sweetheart wedding drama, and a football state championship game on the line, there's no telling what will happen next. Watch as tensions rise, friendships are tested, and situationships culminate in this addictive coming-of-age drama set in the heart of Los Angeles. All-American finale July 19th on the CW. After 8 incredible seasons, Tyler Perry's hit soap opera crime drama is saying its final goodbyes. These two families have been plotting and scheming against each other for some time now, approximately 200 episodes to be exact, and the twists and turns are still in full swing. It'll all come to a head during the shocking, fatal finale. Be right back, I need my popcorn. Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have-Nots finales on July 20th on OWN.
Thor was in it.
We're just here having conversations about Loki on the side, which a show I'm totally obsessed with. And apparently Thor did have Chris Hemsworth as Thor had a little cameo in this most recent episode as a variant version of Thor. So
okay.
Highly recommend checking out that series if you haven't. Obviously, the finale is coming up, but it's never too late to start. All right. Anyone else have anything you want to plug? Any upcoming comedy dates? You'll be appearing anywhere?
Yeah, like I was telling you earlier, you can check out my show at the Waffle House.
Okay.
Sell out this time. I feel it.
Great. And Liz, you'll be at the Chuckle Hut in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. How did you know?
I follow you. I follow you, your career closely. All right, everyone. Well, that will do it for this week's episode. Special thanks to Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, as well as Fear Street star Sadie Sink. Thank everyone for joining us. And even bigger thanks to my fellow editors, Kayla, Liz, and Scott. If you want to check out the shows we talked about today, get more of our entertainment recommendations, or watch us interview more big celebrities, just say what to watch into your voice remote or tune in here every Tuesday at 4 p.m. for a brand new episode. My name is David. Thank you for watching us on What to Watch Live.